Okay.
I just want to preface this by saying that none of the units that I've presented to you deal with minor scales. So maybe I can help you out very quickly here, and at some point later on, we'll get to a more detailed presentation of the minor scales as I did with the major scales. So a minor scale is basically a major scale starting on the sixth step of the major scale. Think of it that way. Here's C major. And if we go 8, 7, 6 and play all the white keys, which is the C major scale, we get a scale that is called A natural minor. Now, the Greek terms for the major scale was Ionian, and the Greek term for the natural minor scale is Aeolian. And their sound is completely different. The major scale is bright, sunny. Minor scale is a little sad. And that's because of the placement of where the half steps are in the scale. With the major scale, you had the half steps between 3 and 4, 7 and 8, and most importantly, the first and the third notes were a major third, which is kind of a happy sound. So you play the scale, and the first third you get to is a major. Well, look at the minor now. The half steps, and you don't have to memorize this. The half steps are between 2 and 3 and 5 and 6. You don't have to memorize this because you can easily just refer back to it if you want to know. But the chief aspect of the natural minor scale is when we go from 1 to the third note, we have a minor third. And it's a sad sound compared to a major third. So naturally, a minor key is used for really sad events, intense events. You know, anything that connotes sadness or grieving or things of that nature. So let's go through the key of A minor and name the chords numerically. 1 chord, A minor. 2 chord is B diminished. 3 chord is C major. 4 chord, D minor. 5 chord, E minor. And this is a major difference between natural minor key and the major key, which I will get to shortly. 6 chord, F major. 7 chord, G major. 1 chord, A minor. So there's something interesting I'd like to point out about the natural minor keys. So if we played a little song like this, A minor, E minor, 5 chord, F, and then we come to C, and then we go back to A minor, and then the 5 chords, E minor, and then 1 chord, minor 5 chord, and minor 1 chord. So let's see how that sounds again. And you might be saying to yourself, well, that sounds nice, but it sounds like something maybe from the Renaissance time, maybe 300-400 years ago. And you would be correct. Because at some point, and I can't tell you when, at some point, hundreds of years ago, people realized, and everybody was improvising, and they probably just heard this. Someone realized that, hey, instead of going, I could do this now. Use a major 5 chord, and hey, that sounds good. And now watch. Major 5 chord, 1 major. And people really like that because it sounds good. Because now you have, instead of an E minor resolving to an A minor, you now have an E major. And with all, if you make it into an E major, an E7th, you have all of the elements that happened in a major key of the 5-7 chord, but now pulling you to a minor key. So you have the tritone pulling in now to a minor third instead of to a major third. So this newfound discovery of using a major 5 chord in the context of a minor key had to cause problems immediately. So what happened is probably someone sat down and played a song and went up the natural minor scale, got to this G, and played it against this E major in the bass and said, whoa. So mind you, this sound now appears in the 13, 14, perhaps 1500s, and it's just not going to work. And if you played something like this in public, you'd probably be arrested, maybe even put to death as the devil or something. So it wasn't going to happen. So to alleviate this problem, they had to invent a new scale. So instead of using our tried and true natural minor, now they're going to get rid of the G and replace it with a G sharp. And this new scale is called the harmonic minor scale, and it's reflective of the fact that the harmony of the 5 chord has changed now from a minor to a major. Minor, E minor becomes E major. So now you have this leap of an augmented second here from an F to a G sharp and bringing it back up to the root. So now they could play a piece. Say something like that. So by the beginning of the 18th century, which also marks the approximate end of the Renaissance, we see a shift away from minor 1 and a minor 5 and a minor 1 cadence to a minor 1, major 5, minor 1 cadence. So let's recap the triads used in A minor using this new E triad, the new E major triad as the 5 chord. So 1 is A minor, 2 is B diminished, 3 is C major, 4 is D minor, 5 is our new E major, 6 is F major, and 7 is G major. So you may have noticed that the C chord, or the 3 chord here, didn't change to a C augmented. And the 7 chord, the G, didn't change to a G sharp diminished. And the reason for that is we're kind of like in a hybrid space now. Those chords, a C augmented and a G sharp diminished, really wouldn't work in the context of a minor key. So we're left with a kind of hybrid situation. If you're a composer and you're writing in a minor key, you're going to want to have a C major. You're going to want to have a G major. And you're going to want to have the new E major for the 5 chord. And one demonstration of that is something like this. Okay, so in this case, the old chords from the natural minor scale work great with the new E major as the 5 chord. Additionally, in a minor key, it's nice for a composer to be able to go to what's called the relative major. So if we're playing in A minor, we can cadence to C major, and then back. And then use the major 5 chord. Since C major and A minor have the same note, they're called relatives. So C major is the relative major of A minor. And vice versa, A minor is the relative minor of C major. Now, most of the chords in C major, C, D minor, not E minor, but F, G, A, and B diminished, are also contained in A minor. So we have the A minor, the B diminished, the C, the D minor, and the E minor, which was in the key of C, the 3 chord, now becomes E major. And then we go on with F major and G. And that's how the 2 keys of C major and A minor are related. There's a simple trick for identifying the relative minor of any major key. As we noticed in the key of C, the relative minor was an A. Well, how does that relate to the key of C? Well, if we go backwards through the key, we go 8, 7, 6, and then build our scale there. And that's our relative minor. So once again, C is 1 or 8, and then 7, 6. That is our relative minor, and then we just play the C scale, all white keys, starting there. Okay, let's take another one. How about we have F major. Okay, if I were to go treat this as 1 or 8, I would go 8, 7, 6, and that would bring me to D. And then if I played the F scale, which just has a B flat in it, going up from D, we would have D natural minor. Okay? And then vice versa, if someone asks, well, what's the relative major of some minor key? Take a look at A minor, and it's 1, 2, it's the 3rd note of that minor scale is the relative major. I'd like to show you 3 simple progressions in A minor, followed by a more complicated one. The first one is 1, 4, 5, and 1. The right hand will play A, C, E for the 1 chord. It'll play A, D, F, second inversion D minor chord for the minor 4 chord, and G sharp, D, and E for the 5-7 chord. We're leaving out the 5th. So altogether we get this: 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 1. You could also have the bass come down like this, and then up to E. The second one is just as easy to play, but requires an explanation. It's a little more complicated. So now we're going to have 1, 2, 5, 1. And the chords for the right hand are going to be the same as 1, 4, 5, 1. So we get a sound like this now. 1. Let me explain this 2 chord. If we were to look at this in root position, we would have a B, D, F, and an A, right? And this is called a minor 7th chord with a flat 5. It's also called a half diminished 7th chord because you have a 7th chord defined by the outer notes, and then the inner part is diminished. So half the chord is diminished. The outer 7th is a minor 7th, and the inner chord is a diminished triad. So when we put that all together, we have A, C, E. Now bass is going to be a B, and followed by what looks like a second inversion D minor triad. And that's literally your default 2 chord in most music. Without that 7th, it's kind of colorless. So let's try that again. A minor, followed by the B half diminished chord, which is our default 2 chord in any minor key. And then the 5 chord, and then back to the 1. Try again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the next progression is pretty easy to understand. We're going to have 1, 6, 5, and 1. So the right hand will have root position A minor, first inversion F chord. That's our 6th chord in A minor. And then the G sharp D E. And then back to 1. So let's try that out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last progression is a circular progression, a lot more complicated. Watch what the bass is going to do. 1, 4, 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. Once again. 1, 4, 7, 3. 6, 2, 5, 1. And intervallically, we're starting on an A, going up 4, and going down 5, and going up 4, going down 5, going up 4, going down 5, going up 4. And we've seen this before. This translates into what's called a circular progression, where all of the bass notes are going down in descending fifths, etc., which is the same as a descending fifth is the same as an ascending fourth. So that's why we can integrate the fourths into the bass motion. Well, let's see what happens with the right hand. We have A minor in first inversion. And then this is going to go to the 4 chord, D minor. And I would use the fingering 1, 2, 5, and then 1, 3, 5. And now we do the exact same thing one step lower. Now we have G in first inversion going to C in root position. And we do the exact same thing one step lower, and we have F major in first inversion. But we're not going to do the B, D, F. What we're going to do is keep this A here, because that was the 7th of the 2 chord, B, D, F, A, which we saw in the original, in the original 1, 2, 5 progression. And then we're going to go to our 5/7 chord, E7, G sharp, G, E, and back to A minor. So here we go again. A minor, D. Now G and C. Now F and what looks like a D minor, and then the E7th, and then the A minor. And now let's add 1 cup of left hand and we'll be set. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and we're going to be doing this in all the major and minor keys to get you acquainted with them, so that when we play a piece together, I can just say, hey, this piece is in F major. Refer to the video I made of F major and all the functions of the chords within F major, for example. Okay, so that's it for today, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye-bye.